Hey guys, this is Hunter with You Don't Know Ball, and today we're going to be looking at Dan Parr's Mock Draft 1.0. He's part of NFL.com. As always, if you don't know ball and want to know ball, be sure to subscribe. Leave a comment. Let me know your favorite pick from this mock draft and your least favorite pick. Also, leave a like. We're bringing you guys daily content. As always, let's get right into it. At number 1, we have the Chicago Bears taking Caleb Williams. Not much to say here. He is probably going to be QB1 all the way up until, from now, all the way until the draft at the end of April. You know, we might hear stories here and there, Drake May is taking the lead. Even Jaden Daniels, I doubt that one. But I just think, as the draft process kind of runs its course, it's going to wind up being Caleb 1. Whether it is the Bears or another team taking him, Caleb number 1 is a lock to me. At number 2, we have the Washington Commanders taking Drake May. I think this makes, a good amount of sense in all the other mock drafts reactions I've done. It's like if you're in the position to take a quarterback at 2 and your team doesn't have a quarterback, it's kind of the right move, unless it's like obviously a weaker class like it could be in next year in 2025. But to pass up on, a franchise quarterback, a potential franchise quarterback, I'm not saying any of these guys are for sure or anything. I just think it would be kind of a mistake to pass unless you can get like a ridiculous package. But then it's like, okay, if you're going to get the quarterback next year, do you even really like the guys? At number 3, we have the New England Patriots taking Marvin Harrison Jr. Makes a lot of sense to me. I don't think they're ready for a QB. I saw a comment that said basically like, why have a wide receiver if you have no one to throw him the ball? Well, at the end of the day, you're going to have a quarterback playing, and they will be throwing the ball to somebody. And Marvin Harrison Jr. to me is, if he's really what he's chalked up to be, he's going to be a receiver for the next 10, 15 years. So sure, you may not have the right quarterback this year or even next year, but if you're able to get that guy in year 3, year 4, he's throwing to a guy who's been in the league and has been balling out potentially for a couple years and really starting to get into his prime. And then you're really throwing a rookie into a great situation. I just don't think the way the roster is set up for the Pats right now that Marvin Harris or a quarterback, even being a Jaden Daniels, would excel in that offense. At number 4, also for that pick, he says the Patriots trade for Justin Fields, which I don't think is the case. At number 4, we have the Atlanta Falcons trading up for Jaden Daniels. It's going to get interesting after the 3rd pick, depending on what the Patriots do, because if you really start to think about it, there's a lot of quarterback needy teams, and there's been a lot of talk about J.J. McCarthy going pretty high as well. And I just want to know, at what time does the trade up for the quarterback start? I think it starts at 3 if New England is seriously considering not taking quarterback. But, anywhere from 4 to 7, where it's the Cardinals, the Chargers, the Giants, and the Titans, I think those are all optimal trade spots for teams such as the Vikings, Raiders, and the Broncos. So I think the top 15 of the draft this year is going to be pretty trade heavy, honestly. At number and I don't want to move on yet. Number 4, I think Jaden Daniels, if he's going to go to a team, he needs to go to a team that already has weapons, that already has an offensive line. Yes, it's a new coaching staff, but I feel like Robinson coming from the McVay tree, will help him quite a bit. At number 5, we have the Los Angeles Chargers taking Joe Alt. I've been seeing Alt mocked here more and more. I know a lot of Chargers fans want Bowers to pair with Herbert. I don't think either are a bad pick. I think you get more value out of a Joe Alt just because it's if you pair him with Rashawn Slater, you guys are set up at the tackles for the next 10 years. And it's you don't have to worry about Herbert getting killed on the outside. Yes, obviously, interior of the line is different, but if you have 2 stalwarts on either end of the line, that's not something a lot of teams can say that they have. At number 6, we have the New York Giants taking Malik Neighbors. Yes, I like this pick a lot. I like it more than Odunze to the Giants. I think you don't have really any like scary wide receivers on that team. And whether it's Daniel Jones, it's probably going to be Daniel Jones this year. I don't see them making a move. But if Jaden Daniels falls there, maybe they could go get him. I think also, though, whether it's Daniel Jones or a quarterback in 2025, you have to have a guy to throw to. It's like that offense has been so weird these last couple years. And, I think it really stems from the lack of weapons that they have. And honestly, the O-line is also a big problem. At number 7, we have the Tennessee Titans taking Olu Fashanu. I think this pick makes sense for them. Pass protector, one of the best in the class. Has time to improve in the run game, but he's still very young. He's still very talented. And I think he's a little bit more of like, I think Joe Alt probably has the highest floor of the tackles, but Olu still has a pretty high floor. And if you're going to take a tackle at 7, especially when he's not the top one in the class, like depending on how you have your rankings, I think Olu is a pretty safe bet. And I think giving, Will Levis some more protection is not a bad idea. At number 8, so this is where the Falcons traded back from, we have the Arizona Cardinals taking Rome Odunze. So Bears fans pissed, but yeah, so I think this makes a lot of sense. I think the the Cardinals were going to go receiver anyway, and if they have Odunze kind of graded similar to Neighbors, it's really not, why not collect draft assets and move back a little bit? Like, I don't know necessarily, I mean, the combine will change but realistically, where do you see like a team moving up from like the 20s or like even the late teens to move up and get a receiver? I just don't see it. I think the receiver class is too deep. So it's like if you're able to move back just 4 spots and get one of the top 3 receivers in the draft, good move for the Cardinals. At number 9, we have the Chicago Bears taking Dallas Turner. So I would have liked Brock Bowers here. And I think my thing is, if the top 3 wide receivers are off the board, I think you can trade back with one of those quarterback needy teams and collect some draft assets. You don't have a second round pick because of the Montez Sweat trade. And I like the edges in this class. I like Turner, I like Verse, I like Latu. I just think 9 is a little rich for that. And I think, getting a wide receiver 2 is much more important. So I wouldn't be opposed with the Bears trading up. Dallas Turner to put opposite of Montez Sweat would be very, very, very nice because you get your quarterback of the future. You get another edge rusher on defense. It's a good haul for the Bears, but I think they could do better. At number 10, we have the Las Vegas Raiders trading up with the New York Jets, and JJ McCarthy is now a Raider. Raiders fans, let me know how you feel about that. So I think McCarthy is kind of going to go between 8 and 15. I will say this, though. I think the Raiders is probably my least favorite spot for him. I know they have Devontae Adams. I know they have Jacoby Myers. But I don't know if I trust Luke Getsy to develop them. I like Antonio Pierce as the head coach, but to me, that just strikes me as like, I don't know if that situation is ready for a rookie QB, but at the same time, it might be. I don't know. I just feel like out of all the teams that could take him between 8 and 15, this is kind of like or 8 and 16 even, I'll say, with the Seahawks. This is kind of like my least favorite spot for him. At number 11, we have the Minnesota Vikings taking Jared Verse. He just strikes me kind of as a Viking player, honestly. And, Danielle Hunter might be gone. I think this makes a good amount of sense for the Vikings. And, with Dallas Turner already off the board, you probably... And I don't know. I'm going to be very honest with you guys. I don't know how to rank these edges. Like, I think they're all really good at their own things. And it's kind of like, what flavor do you want at edge, So I think this works, and I think you give Brian Flores another weapon, so good pick. At number 11 or number 12, we have the Bengals trading up with the Denver Broncos. So this is interesting. So I wonder if the Broncos were in on McCarthy, but once they saw the Raiders trade up, it was kind of just like, all right, let's move back, get some assets that we don't have because of all the trades we've made. So the Bengals taking Brock Bowers is kind of scary. And I think it's actually a good pick, though, because you're losing Tyler Boyd. You'll probably have T. Higgins for like one more year. You know, if you look at the Ravens, you look at the Chiefs, you look at the 49ers, you look at the Lions, all those teams that were in the championships, they had the all-star tight ends. And like, if you can give Joe Burrow something like that to work with, he's never really had like a dominant tight end. I think you're in a very, very good spot when you lose T. Higgins, because then you have Brock Bowers and Jamar Chase. That's kind of ridiculous. At number 13, we have the Las Vegas Jets. This is the New York Jets who traded back with the Las Vegas Raiders, taking Talisa Fuaga. So I think this is a good pick. I mean, you gave up some draft assets to go get Aaron Rodgers. You might as well go protect him, and you're still able to get one of the best tackles in the draft when you've traded back with the Raiders and getting more draft assets. So I think, that's kind of what he says here. The Jets recoup some draft capital after trading for Aaron Rodgers last year, and they get some much needed help up front from the QB. And, if the Jets want to have a dominant run game with like a Breece Hall, this is your guy. He's still pretty good in pass protection. And like I said, you can't have Aaron Rodgers at 40 years old running for his life. At number 14, we have the New Orleans Saints taking J.C. Latham. I like this pick a lot. One of the biggest offensive tackles in the draft, probably the strongest. You get kind of like a higher floor guy. Trevor Penning was kind of scary with his injuries. He was a little bit more of a projection. And I think Latham, you kind of know more a little bit about what you get, and you need to protect Derek Carr. Regardless if he's going to be your quarterback of the future, you need to start building up that O-line again. At number 15, we have the Indianapolis Colts taking Terrion Arnold. I like this pick a lot. I think, a lot of people have him graded as the CB1. I think him or like Quinyon Mitchell are possibly CB1. And I could also see him going pretty high. Like, I think, him at 15 is fair. I don't think that's like bad at all. But I could also see a team in like the top 10 taking him. There's a lot to like here. He's young. A lot of his cons can be coached out at the next level and taught at the next level, like whatever he needs to improve on. And I think you get a guy who is 20 years old and plays very, very tough football. At number 16, we have the Seattle Seahawks taking Troy Fontenot. This makes sense to me because I know they have like younger rookie tackles, but Fontenot can be projected and play inside as a guard or like an interior offensive lineman. So, let's say, he could play guard, but let's say one of your tackles goes down. You could always have him slide over. Like, he's got versatility. And I think if you're going to take him this high, I think that's kind of what you're going to use him for. Put him on the interior. That's kind of like where the line struggled anyway. There was a lot of injuries to that line last year. And, having a guy with versatility can kind of, I don't know how to say it, like put a Band-Aid over some of those issues sometimes. So good pick for the Seahawks. At number 17, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars taking Byron Murphy II. I like this pick a lot. Probably the best interior defensive lineman in the draft. And the Jacksonville Jaguars pair him up with probably Josh Allen going to be there for another year and Trayvon Walker. You are starting to get into scary territory for the Jacksonville Jaguars on the defensive line. At number 18, we have the Denver Broncos taking Bo Nix. So with McCarthy off the board, Bo Nix is probably the next guy outside of Penix that's going to go in the first round. And like I said, if McCarthy's your guy and he's already gone, I don't think any other team that high is taking Nix. So you might as well trade back. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know who else is going to take Nix in the first round. So I would even say they could probably double back and trade back again. But I think if Sean Payton thinks Bo Nix is their guy, I don't think you can really complain about the selection here. At number 19, we have the Los Angeles Rams taking Latu Latu, pairing him up with Aaron Donald, and then you have Kobe Turner on the line as well. I think this defense is kind of getting that youth movement that they need. I think, here's my thing. The Rams are in an interesting spot because they can compete for the next 2 years with Stafford, but they could also be in like a rebuild. So it's like you want guys that can kind of win now, but also guys that, will be good in a couple years. And I think Latu is that guy. He's a really polished edge rusher. And I think, putting him with Aaron Donald, giving him a couple years to learn, I think this is a good pick for the Rams. At number 20, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers taking Tyler Guyton. Not a bad pick at all. I think Amarius Mims probably would have been a better option. I think both are raw players, honestly, and they both need a lot of work at the next level. But I just like Mims a little bit better than I do like Guyton. But to get your bookend tackles back-to-back years in the first is not a bad idea at all for the Steelers. You're going to have to protect Kenny Pickett, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, Mason Rudolph, whoever is playing for the Steelers next year. At number 21, we have the Miami Dolphins taking Jackson Powers-Johnson. Makes a lot of sense for them, honestly. He is a big interior offensive lineman and probably the best IOL in the draft right now. Their center, Connor Williams, is probably gone in free agency. Teron Armstead, Austin Jackson are on either side of the lines. You really got to, and he can play center, he can play, guard. So wherever you want to slot him in will work for the Miami Dolphins here. At number 22, we have the Philadelphia Eagles taking Quinyon Mitchell. The Eagles have one of the worst pass defenses in the league last season, and their top corners, Darius Slay, 33, and James Bradbury, 31 in August, aren't getting any younger. Yeah, I mean, whoever you take at corner here makes a lot of sense. It just is like, you have to build that secondary with youth. And like, yes, I know they have Maddox, Ringo, and Ricks, but it's like, dude, like they're not you need first round talent at a premium position. Like, this is the way to go. At number 23, we have the Houston Texans taking Nate Wiggins. He says at least one scout views Wiggins as a better prospect than Seattle Seahawks stud rookie Devin Witherspoon. High praise. The Texans snag a Clemson Tiger to play opposite of Derek Stingley. Yeah, I mean, I like this pick a lot. I mean, I think going corner to the Texans to pair him with Derek Stingley kind of, really makes that Texans cornerback room. I think it helps the depth a lot. Like, if you, like, the Texans cornerbacks weren't horrible, but it's like if you give them another star corner outside of Derek Stingley, I think everybody just moves down one step on the rungs, and your whole corner room just gets vastly better. At number 24, we have the Dallas Cowboys taking Graham Barton. Tyler Biadasz is a free agent. Tyron Smith is a free agent. You need help on the line. Graham Barton played tackle in college, but he can also play interior, so it gives you some versatility. I think this is the best spot for him. At number 25, we have the Green Bay Packers taking Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean is a great run stopper. He can play corner in the league. He can play safety. Both are positions of need for the Packers. So I think this pick makes a lot of sense for them, and I think he plays a style of defense that the Packers will like. At number 26, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking Chop Robinson. So Chop has a really quick first step, and I think the Buccaneers need to work on getting some more youth on the defensive line. I know they have Kalijah Cansey, but they have Shaq Barrett, and then I can't remember the other guy they have. I'm sorry, my apologies. But at the end of the day, you have to get more youthful on that line, and you give Todd Bowles a guy who can get off the line quickly. If you can just get more techniques and moves in his bag, Chop Robinson can be a good player at the NFL level. At number 27, we have Amarius Mims to the Arizona Cardinals. I like this pick a lot. Getting Rome Odunze and Amarius Mims in the first round of the draft this year would be a great draft for the Arizona Cardinals. You have Paris Johnson Jr. on one side, then you get Amarius Mims on the other side. You're protecting Kyler Murray or whatever quarterback you have in 2025. If you don't stick with Kyler, you get him a weapon. Maybe you re-sign Hollywood Brown. I think the Cardinals are really heading in the right direction if this draft ends up being the way, falling this way. At number 28, we have the Buffalo Bills taking Brian Thomas Jr. I like this pick a lot. I think you give a big body to Josh Allen, pair him with Stephon Diggs. Gabe Davis might be gone. You've never really had that big body for Josh Allen to throw to. And I think this makes a bigger difference than a lot of people would think. If you got a guy that can go up, contested catch, this, that, and the third, you're just giving Josh Allen way more weapons. And Josh Allen is already deadly with what he has. At number 29, we have the Detroit Lions taking Kool-Aid McKinstry. I like this pick because you have Brian Branch, he's going to be in your secondary, and, they signed like Emmanuel Mosley last year, and they signed CJ Gardner-Johnson, and just that DB room, I'm talking like safeties and corners as a whole, it just felt like they were kind of just trying to short-term solve the problem, and I don't think that was the wrong decision at the time. But at some point, you need to get first-round and young talent into that wide receiver room. Obviously, last year, I know he's not good, but you traded Jeff Okudah. Like, that was a high pick at corner that didn't work out for them, but I think you got to go back to the well here and draft a first-round corner this year. At number 30, we have the Baltimore Ravens taking Keon Coleman. Love this pick. Give a big body to Lamar Jackson. Pair him with Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers. Maybe sign another receiver in free agency, and I think you're really starting to really craft that wide receiver room, something that Lamar kind of should have had his whole career. At number 31, we have the San Francisco 49ers taking Darius Robinson. So he is someone who can play on the interior of the defensive line. He can also play the edge. I like this pick for the 49ers, but at the same time, I feel like it is a better option to go offensive line here. I'm trying to think of who you could go at tackle because a lot of tackles did go in the first, but I just think you struggled with like McKivitz this year. And at the end of the day, Purdy, while yes, being like a good quarterback, I feel like you need a lot to go right you just need everything to work like really well in order for him to excel. And I think it's more important to protect that side of the ball compared to the defensive side, especially when you have like Bosa on the other side and all those other studs on the line. At number 31, we have the Kansas City Chiefs taking Devontae Walker. I really want the Chiefs to go wide receiver here, but Troy Franklin would have been a much better pick. Ladd McConkey would have been a much better pick. Walker, he says he hasn't received glowing reviews at the Senior Bowl, but dude, like, it wasn't just that. Like, it's not that he didn't receive glowing reviews. It's like when you watched him, like, he dropped everything. Like, with the way the Chiefs receivers have been this year, like, this is just such a weird pick for me. I do not like this pick at all. I think Walker dropped his draft stock a lot from the Senior Bowl. So, Chiefs fans, let me know what you think about this one. I would not be happy if I picked him over like a Troy Franklin or a Ladd McConkey. Well, this has been Dan Parr's Mock Draft 1.0. It was not anything too crazy, but at the end of the day, I think this mock draft had some interesting trades from teams that we didn't really see trading. Like the Broncos traded back. Like we've seen mocks with them trade up. Like the Bengals traded up. The Falcons traded up. So it was a fun mock draft. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you don't know ball and want to know ball, be sure to subscribe. Leave a comment. Let me know your favorite or least favorite pick from this draft. Leave a like. We're bringing you guys daily content. Thank you guys so much, and thanks for watching.